Thanks everybody for coming, and definitely everybody I see I definitely love, and I'm sure Daddy loved everybody that was here. And the thing is, this right here is just a celebration of him not having to suffer no more. We all love him, and we're gonna definitely miss him, but I'm definitely sure he wouldn't want to be like mourned in a certain way. So I'm going to get this started, and so this right here is a chalice, and it represents a person's, it represents his life. And you know, at one point we come into existence. The lighter here we got, I didn't like this chalice. Technical difficulty, sorry about that. All right, thank you. Hover Meyer for lighting our chalice. And up here, when we come this after the service, if you like to, we have a bowl out here with 2 sets of rocks, one for joys, one for sorrows. You can pick one or either and put them into the water, because the water represents that what happens to one of us represents what happens to us all. And Clyde Williams, for sure, was a person that was he affected everybody. Period. So that's something else you want to do. And at this point, I'm gonna turn it over to my program in the back. Rolling. That's my program in the back. But yeah. So we got the music out the way. That was. So I want you to. And if anybody have anything to say, I'll give everybody like 2, 3, 4 minutes to say something about what they say. But at this point, I'm gonna let him go ahead and take it over. And Angela, the obituary, I didn't get a chance to talk to you, but whenever it's time to do it. All right, thank you.
So we're going to do this in the order the way Robbie and his family requested. So in reading the itinerary, this is a time that's called for reflections, am I correct? So is there anyone that wanted to come and speak on behalf of Clyde that can come do it now? And as he requested, limited 2 minutes. This is not a cordless microphone, so you're going to have to come up here. So if anyone that wanted to say anything, you're welcome to do so now.
Good afternoon. I'm sure we all have had our time to grieve as much as we had our time to go back over the good times and the knowledge we gained from this man. I come to this family about 10 years old, 11 years old, somewhere in between. I want to say I first met, I met Robbie in school, in middle school, but I think we crossed paths in the church community. My grandmother's religion and Miss Williams' religion. So this is how I got to stick to you guys, because I never want to go back over there. I come out of a household full of girls. I was the only boy, and it was like, oh my Lord. So once I knew they stayed a half alley away, or less, I was there as much as I could be. And they always had the neatest things. Mr. Williams always, man, his garage was like a young boy's mischief heaven. You know, I made arrows and spears off this grinder. I mean, you name it, man. You could, whatever you could think of, you could do over there in that garage. And this was early on. Like, I've seen 1,000 motors put in, transmissions. The Tempo, boy, I remember the Tempo. The Tempo, man, he worked on that Tempo tirelessly, getting it right. Yeah, man. I remember the treks to Oklahoma in the back of the Ford pickup truck. Nothing but snacks and good times, man. We go off to the country that was completely off grid, seemed like. No running water, they still had outhouses. But that was his buddies, and he would make sure he made a round on his friends throughout his life, you know, and I would like to hear about all this when he go down there and see his buddies and his friends in Texas and Shreveport and Oklahoma and everywhere else he went. But I'm glad of the knowledge I gained from this man, just the instructions in life on how to be a man. And they was really simple instructions, you know what I'm saying? Get up and strike at it hard. Don't spend more than you can eat. And you know what I mean? Always have your own truck and your own house. You'll always be what a man should stand for. Plus, take care of your responsibilities like he did. The man, I mean, he would tell me like he has never been late on a dang on bill. Like, it just, the stuff that, you know, he can just tell you, man, it just make you want to be a piece of him, because you could never be him unless you really got up and did what he was. And he did all this with one arm, like, you know what I mean? So I always try to have sympathy for him, but he didn't need none of that. Like, don't pat him on the back because he didn't have two arms, dude. You like get told off or something, you know what I mean? But I'm blessed to have had his guidance. I'm blessed to be able to use that house as a healing, because, you know, I had went through things in my life. And he was there, that door was open, that bed was open, that icebox was open to my struggles. So believe me when I tell you, man, he's greatly missed. I tell my sons about him, and I tell my sons how dedicated he was to raising his family and doing the right thing for his family, you know what I mean? So he'll be missed. And all the good times we had, and just, you know, I got a chance to see him, and, you know, I got word that I need to go see him. And so I got up that Monday morning, I went out there, and India was out there. I woke them up. Well, they were already been there, but they was kind of back down, and back just chilling. Everybody was laying around, and I got in there, and she was like, "Uncle Clyde, you want some juice?" He said, he said, "You want some water?" He's like, I said, "You want some H&H?" He was like, well, so I'm just glad that I got to see that, get a smile out of him. But yes, sir, he will be missed. And I hope I can resemble a lot of the things that he done in life. So with his teachings, man, I hope I can, you know, teach my troops and my soldiers, my young men, the proper way to go in life.
Anyone else want to come forward?
Yeah, I want y'all to know I really don't ever get up and do something like this, but I feel compelled to do it today. Mr. Clyde. Mr. Clyde, what can you say about Mr. Clyde? I'll tell you what, I've known him my whole life. I'm 65 years old now. And he and my dad was the best of friends. They had so much in common. A lot of same characteristics. They worked hard. They worked on cars all the time. My dad and my uncle had a shop. And so, man, they'd be down there all the time. But I used to watch and wait for them to get home. And they would come and they'd turn around, they'd leave. I'm sitting there waiting for them to get back again. They show back up. They there for 15 minutes. Sometimes Suge would come by, and my dad would lift weights with him. But I say that to say, when I was 14, and they had a little program at school, because Dad always told me about you got to work, you got to work. And I used to work on his trash truck with him. And when I was 14, I had a little program. They had one through my junior high school. You paint the whole summer and they give you $300 when you get done. So the next year, I told my dad, I said, Dad, I want a real job. He said, oh, you want a real job? I said, yeah, I want a real job. So he said, I'm gonna get you a real job. So he talked to Mr. Clyde. He was working for Globe Construction Company at the time. And when I was 15, I went out there, got me a job. He said, now you gotta tell him. You gotta tell me 18 now. I said, all right, I wrote that on my application. And then I went out there and worked out there. That first day, it's 100-some degrees out there. And our job was to lay the steel, and I swear to you today, I still got calluses on my hands from that job. We would lay the steel, and then they would pour the concrete, and then we would go back, and then we would saw the concrete. He was in charge of all of that. He was in charge of pouring all the measurements for the approach for a driveway. He was the only one out there that could really do that. And so that was part of our job. And we would be the last ones to leave at night because we had to saw the concrete to keep it from cracking. Man, I'm making $300 and some a week, and I'm 15. I thought I had hit a gold mine, but I didn't realize till I was older, I was just working a whole bunch of hours because we would show up at 6 in the morning, and sometimes I wouldn't go home till 9 o'clock at night, you know. But he taught me so much about hard work, and his brothers, Jimmy, and Suge, and his father, Mr. T, we all worked there, and they just taught me so much about life, taught me, you know, what I should be trying to do. And that company hired me back every year until I went to college. And I was so happy. I saw him quite a bit, but about maybe 6-8 months ago, I went by to see him, and I got a chance to tell him and thank him for all he had did for me and what he had taught me, and how much I appreciated it. But I lost my dad back in 2015, and I know that now they together again. Thank you.
Is there any else? One else?
I don't know if I'm too tall for the mic or not. Like, I gotta bend down a little bit. So my name is Hayden. Clyde is my grandfather. I'm Clayton's son. He's incarcerated right now, but he sent a letter for me to read, so I'm gonna read it, and then I got a couple words I'm gonna say for me too. Dad, I love you so much, and I respect you, and I needed what you showed me. I know that you love me, not because of fancy words. However, based on what you have done for me, you love me like God loved me. I love you back with all my heart. with all of me. You won't be here forever. I will tell people about your legacy until I die. My son will preach. You created a world for me where I never knew hunger, being without poverty. Just to know that I will work hard every day of my life, just as you did. You were amazing. You were an amazing provider and an amazing father. I am the best of you, and you and I are one. I love you, Big Rufus, Dad. Sincerely, your baby boy, Clayton Williams. And then I got a few words I'm gonna say. It's on my phone. You know, us new kids, everything on the phone. Although you are at peace, I will never be okay with you not being here anymore. It's like when I was 6 or 7 and 8, I would have cried if my mom didn't take me to you to eat potatoes and onions and watch black and white Westerns, even though you had the best cable and the best picture for your NFL games. Those were the good times, I'm not gonna lie. When I turned about 15 or 16, I started to take advantage of the time we weren't spending, and I regret that so much. I love you. And if you want me to be real, I took advantage of the time we weren't spending because I knew you were gonna tell me the harsh truth about the decisions that I had been making. Just like any other kid that doesn't want to hear anything. But one thing you told me every chance you got was a hard head makes a soft behind, and it sure did make a soft behind. My grandpa Clyde wasn't the type to tell you that he loved you as much as he did, but I remember when I was about 10, I was struck by a moving vehicle and I was in critical condition. My grandma and my grandmother would come to see me, as well as my uncles. My Uncle Rob, when I had my Uncle Rodney, when I had 2 broke arms and a shot of growth plate, I couldn't feed myself. My uncle would grab a spoon and feed me until I told him that I had enough. I know he got that type of character from my grandpa. But back to what I was saying about my grandfather, he said, "Hayden, I love you." One of those days when I was in that hospital bed. He didn't say I love you a lot, but he told me that day. And I think that was the first and only time I heard that. Not because he didn't love me, but because that's just how he was. But I knew he meant it when he did tell me. Man, Grandpa, I'm gonna miss walking to your house and you saying, "What you need, boy?" And I'll respond and say nothing, just stopping by to see you, to see if you need anything done around here. Although you're gone, you'll forever be in my heart.
So is there anyone else?
Good afternoon, how's everyone doing? So we're here unfortunately for the passing of my grandpa. I spent a good chunk of my childhood at Grandpa's house and around many faces in this room. And I hate to be here under these circumstances. He was a huge part of our lives. He took us in through Aunt Bernie, actually. Aunt Bernie met my mom at a shelter, and my dad and my mom ended up together, and that's how we became part of the family. And I don't know where I'd be today without Grandpa's house, the life experiences, just having open arms and letting us in, treating us like family, loving us. One of my favorite memories is I kind of got in trouble, and I was the only girl in the house at the time. And he used to always say, "You shouldn't be here." And I tell him, this is my home, and he very much so made me feel like home, but he wanted me to be around other women. And looking back at it, in the moment, I was like, man, why doesn't Grandpa want me here? And I very much so appreciate him seeing the value in having a woman in my life. And so I saw the love that he showed, even though, like Cousin said, he didn't say it very often. We felt it. And I just thank Grandpa for everything that he's done for us, getting us the bikes every year. Man, back to the story, I got in trouble, long story short, and I I had a trip to World of Fun for my 8th grade graduation, and he argued back and forth with my mom. You gonna let her go to this trip? She earned it. He paid for it. He bought my outfit, and I will never forget that, and I appreciate it. So I love you, Grandpa. Hope you guys have a great day.
My pops, he is an amazing man. I sit back and watch Western movies. And he did show his love to a lot of us. He's a father to a lot of us that didn't have them. So I'm thankful for Pops. I love you, Pops.
It's a hard one. But I just want to touch on a couple things that I heard other people say. Pops, we love you. And you know how somebody will say, you can say, I love you, and they might not show it. But this man right here, he didn't say I love you as much, but he showed it. He showed it to everybody. I'm serious in this room. I'm sure he touched. He showed me how to be a man.
Yes.
He showed my nephews. He showed my brothers. He showed all of us how to be a man. He was the example. I mean, my own dad wasn't even an example like he was. That man right there is why I'm able to show love to my stepkids. Like they my own kids. Anybody in this room that know me, I've got 4 kids. And I don't think anybody has met any of my kids. You know? I got stepkids. I'm sure everybody probably know or have met my stepkids. But this man right here, I'll see you in heaven, Pop, because you paved the way for all of us. He didn't turn nobody down. He brought up not just his family, his partners' families. It was 30 of them when I came. It was 30 of them or more. It might have been a little more. But I think there might be 2, 3 left out of that 30. And he took care of all their families. He took care of all of us. All of us. Thank you.
So is there anyone else that wants to speak on behalf of Uncle Clyde? Let them come in.
I ain't gonna tell y'all no story. All of y'all, everybody in this room already know who he is and how he was. So I ain't finna sit up here and tell y'all no story about what he done for everybody or what he done for me. I'm just here to say goodbye to my uncle
that meant so much. It meant a lot to me personally. I don't know about nobody else and their stories. I've seen, but I didn't speak upon nothing. I was there all the way from the point when I left the house when I was a kid. He never ratted on me, but he told me what I need to be doing. And he kept on telling me until it dawned in on me that I was moving incorrectly out here, all the way to the point where I was homeless, sleeping on the floor and everywhere I could lay my head. And he brought me in, told me I never had to leave. So for me, knowing all of this and seeing all of y'all and everybody going through whatever, this is a king right here. Because a king take care of his people. This is my Mansa Musa in my tongue. He never turned nobody down. He fed the whole north side. And this is my father. Even though this is my uncle, this is my father because like he raised all of y'all men, he raised me too. I was headed for destruction. But my uncle, he told me from his scriptures, and I say his scriptures because they're real. I lived them, I watched him live them, and from what he told me, it all started to make sense. I remember I used to pull up in Cadillacs and all that. I thought I had it made, I thought I was slick. And he used to tell me, you ain't slick. He said, if I had your hands, I'd do mine. I'll take yours. But really, he didn't want that. He didn't want that for me. Because he got up and he worked straight from the cotton field to Wichita, Kansas. Barefooted. And my mama, which is her brother, talked so highly about her siblings and what they meant. But Buddy was her strong one. I don't even know if y'all even know who Buddy is. That's Clyde. But Buddy, he meant so much to my mama. He helped my mama out so much. I just want to say goodbye and thank you for everything, for everything. Goodbye, Aunt.
Is that everybody? Okay.
Everybody got something to say.
Right. Well, go ahead, baby. I'm gonna go have a seat over there and be okay for it.
I'm not one for a lot of words. I guess I talk fast, and all my words ain't punctuated correctly. But I can say this.
Speak up.
I originally came from Philadelphia here by way of interstate traffic, you know what I mean, interstate. And I was on impact, just from prison to prison, because I was an idiot growing up, you know what I mean? My dad wasn't there, but he was, but he wasn't, you know what I mean? Pretty much I was doing my thing, thinking I was all that. When I came to Kansas, I got a lot of family here, but I don't associate with my family, because my family look at me as the black sheep and below their standards of life, you know what I mean? So I had an old saying, if it wasn't free, it wasn't me. You know what I mean? Get it how you live. That's how I was living. And I found myself on the ground many times. And every time my back was to the ground, or my stomach was hungry, or I was sleeping in the camp in the backyard of Pop Clyde's backyard, he would come talk to me. We'd sit outside and do his lawnmower. And there was always a lesson there, you know what I mean? And me, I'm aged, you know what I mean? So a lot of things Pop Clyde taught me didn't really set, you know what I mean? But it did, set back here. And at the end of the day, I'm not family, but I call Pop Daddy, and nobody really understood why. To me, Pop Clyde was my father. He fed me, he educated me, he never looked down on me when I was screwing up, and he never talked down towards me. My stomach was never empty. I was never cold. And he always had a little saying he said to me. And to this day, that man was Bill Cosby in my life. Everybody said Bill Cosby's the father of the universe. This man was the father of Wichita, Kansas, and any other place he's been. He never turned his back on nobody. And he's never really talked down or bad towards me. But what he did do is open my eyes to reality. No matter how big you think you are, how much you got, or how much you have, when you fall or when you crawl, it's always that one person in your life that you can look back on and see everything he taught you come to reality. I remember when a couple of days when Dad was staying at Rodney's, I came to Dad sat down. He said, "Boy, what you doing?" I said, "I don't even know, Daddy." He said, "I don't either." He said, he said, "The next time you run across some extra, holler at me." And the time I run across some extra, holler at me. Yeah. Whatever you run across some extra, holler at me. To this day, I can say, "Pop, finally found it extra." I miss you, man. I love you.
My name is Gwendolyn Brown. First of all, I want to give honor to God and everyone in here. But I'm Ozell's daughter, which is Clyde's best friend, so everybody knew Ozell if they knew Clyde. So I just wanted to come up here and say, I know it's going to be hard times, family, because y'all was there for me when my dad passed and everything. But keep your head up, stay in prayer, and lean on each other. That's all I can say. At the end of the day, if you need something, you can always count on Gwen. Thank you.
Hello, y'all. I'm Edward Dupree, his grandson, and man, all I can think about is what he would say. He would say, be strong, you know, stand up tall, you know. And I just can't believe he gone, bro. It just messing me all the way up. But I know he would be like, you need to be strong for the people that's around you. You know what I'm saying? He never turned his back on me. Like bro said, he never turned his back on me. He always made sure that I got help when I asked for it or even when I didn't. He fed me. He was the first person that fed me steak. That's why I like steak today. He was eating steak and I was eating eggs, and I'm like, I want some of that, man. I want some of that.
I remember that.
I want some of that meat, man. And that's just the gist of who he was. He was a very genuine and concerned person when it came to the people that he loved. And words can't describe how much of a father figure this man was to me. You know what I'm saying? When I didn't have any father. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to put that out there because this is a big one. This is a big one.
Good evening, I'm Nene. This man has been a big impact on my life before I knew that he could be an impact. He has dated my grandmother. He was there when she passed away. I never met that one, but he knew. He also, dated my Aunt Jardine too. But when I met that man said, you got Claiborne legs. That's what he said. We don't put it out there like that. Come on. And I said, what? But I am a Claiborne. And I'm that granddaughter. And that man looked at me, looked at my grandkids. He's never let me fail. He's always been there. We always ate. We always done everything. And I just got to give it up. Clyde Williams. Yeah.
I'm here for those who are on Zoom. There's a couple of people watching this remotely, and one of them put into the Zoom chat asking me to read this. It's India, and she says, I love you, Uncle Clyde. I'm going to miss our conversations and just being in your presence and your advice you gave me. You always found the right words to give me. I love you and will miss you dearly. Amen.
Trying to get to the chicken and everything, but in the meantime, we want everybody to say what they have to say because that's really what's important, I'm gonna go ahead and let my brother go and say what we gotta say first, and I'll go after that. This is my first time ever speaking publicly. This is my first time ever speaking publicly, because anybody that knows me knows that I'm literally a man of very few words. I really don't know what to say. I really don't know how I feel outside of, until Hayden spoke. I hadn't cried yet, and I felt terrible about that. But Daddy, he conditioned me for this day. The last, 6 months where he lived with me, that's all he wanted to talk about was he didn't want to be here anymore. So, he conditioned me pretty well for this day. But when Hayden started to talk and Thumb started talking, it kind of broke me down. So I really don't know what to say. I guess there's so much I could say about him. I don't really know where to start, but I read something in the obituary, and it said he didn't have any favorites, and
mean, that's on point, because when I was a kid, I mean, naturally, I thought Rob was his favorite because they're so close. Rob is literally his left arm, you know, always has been. But, you know, when I was younger, I felt excluded. But when he moved in with me, we started talking, and, you know, he let me know that, you know, the reason why, you know, I felt excluded is not because he didn't love me, or that he loved Rob more.
Come on.
He just recognized that I was a different kind of man.
Come on.
And that's why he didn't try to make me work on cars or any of that kind of stuff. And I thought he didn't know me. And I thought that he loved Rob more. Actually, Bernie was his favorite as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? Yeah, Bernie could get anything out of him. As a matter of fact, he would call Bernie and be like, "Girl, you need some money?" I'd be thinking like, "For real?" You know? But, when we talked, he let me know that, not only he knew the kind of man, he was a different kind of man. And that's why he never tried to get me to be something that I wasn't, but I didn't know until he moved in with me. He told me that. I remember being a kid, I never told my dad this. I never told him ever. But I used to want my Uncle Henry to be my dad because he was patient and he taught me stuff. And he was always there.
Already.
Yeah. But, he let me know that he knew that I was more like Uncle Henry than him. And so, I'm just glad he let me be who I was going to be instead of trying to make me be somebody else. So, that's all I have to say.
But for sure, this guy right here taught me, as far as being a man, everything I know, and I love him to death. And for sure, I think about him more now than I did when he was here. Like Andre said, when I was talking to him, he said, "You don't know how great of a man it is." What's the word you said? But you know what I mean?
Yeah, how powerful.
Or whatever it was. I said, "I know." Even as his son, he said, "No." He said, "No, you just don't know." But I think that no one knows. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, I don't know because I was there every day though. So who knows? You know what I mean? But you know more than me because But then there's people know more than you though. You see what I'm saying? Because no one knows how great of a man this guy was. To me, the sun been brighter every day since then. It's been hot. I do every day the same thing every day. You know what I'm saying? And, so be personally, I think definitely when you're not here no more, you go somewhere. Now, wherever you go, I don't know. People got ideas of where people go. And like Daddy said, he's traditional. So I'm traditional. I said, "What's that?" He said, "Traditional." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Traditional." Yeah. Okay. Traditional. Whatever that is. You know what I mean? But in the meantime, I know he definitely wasn't traditional at the same time. You know what I mean? But anyway, this is what I'm gonna say before we get on to the chicken. Okay. I had I got a couple things I'm gonna say. Okay. It says whatever one sees or does, No matter what one sees or does, always assume positive intent. No matter what one sees or does, always assume positive intent. Because if you don't, you're going to treat people different than they want to be treated, or the way, because you got the golden rule and you got the platinum rule. The golden rule is treat people the way they want to be treated, treat people the way you want to be treated. The platinum rule is to treat people the way they want to be treated. You see what I'm saying? And he definitely practiced the platinum rule, whether you liked it or not. And people get treated the way they treated based on their actions. And that's just that, you know what I mean? And then the next thing I wrote is he said, by assuming, by accepting one's place in the universe, in the scheme of things, can intensify one's impact by genuinely accepting authentic relationships. You know, so if I'm just this guy here. This is who I am. Period. He said, so by assuming one's place in the universe and scheme of things can intensify your impact by being authentically genuine in relationships and definitely in having positive situations. So you're not trying to be nobody you're not. And he never, ever, ever tried to be somebody he wasn't. That's one thing I learned about him. You know, if he wasn't that, he wasn't going to try to be that. If he wasn't a plumber or whatever, he called himself not a plumber. Matter of fact, he said he wasn't even in business. You know what I'm saying? He's not in business. He just works. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, we got to assume that, you know what I mean, everybody has positive attempts for the things that they do. Period. Because past that, we're not getting anywhere.
Amen.
You know? Amen. So we're going to get on to the next part of this situation, and anybody after we do the viewing or whatever, after we do his words, you got two sides, one for joys, one for sorrows, you know what I mean? And put them in the water, and the water represents ripples that affects everybody. And he definitely has affected more people that's definitely been here. You know what I mean? And so for this moment, we have a moment of silence for him, because I think that, you know what I mean, the things said is best not said, not that somebody else got something else to say. Come on.
Oh, dang, I just said that. Might be best left unsaid.
Hey, but when you get through, initiate it to the moment of silence for 1 minute. Or so.
Now? Oh, right. No, after you get through. What do you go? I was going to share that I appreciate the family and the friends that I was adopted into from the actions of this man. I think that's some of what our duties is here as human beings or as people or creatures of the Creator, that he puts us here to pull us together, to rub, shoulders and feathers with one another, to, birds of a feather flock together and whatnot. So I wouldn't have been the person I am without meeting some of the children and the nephews that he produced, So, and I remember, just real quick,
I met Mr. Williams, and I call him Pops affectionately because I never really referred to no man as father or daddy other than the Creator, then Pops. So, and I didn't learn that he was abrasive until just a couple weeks ago. And I mean, because I thought when he was kicking me out, or he was calling me a jighead, he was really just being nice to me. But for real, he was really being abrasive. And I just took it like, I just accepted it. Like, it's inside, you brought this jighead over here again. And then he would kick me out at the end of the brotherly sharing of wines and whiskeys. And I was still trying to figure out why I got kicked out, because I almost drunk him out of the offerings. So, yeah, I didn't even know. So I learned that's being abrasive. I mean, he wasn't a gentleman, what I just learned. And I thought that was cool. I always got kicked out. Matter of fact, when I think about it, I've never been kicked out of no place that many times. Why don't you just go home, boy? I can't go home. Well, you need to figure something out. But that was abrasive. I thought it was. But that's a man being a man to a young man to cause him you need to come into your own, boy. So I just want to share that. I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate Pops. And the gratitude is what I'm going to be showing, And yes, he'll be missed, however. Yes, he'll be missed. But I'm going to be more excited about expressing the fractions of truth and the fractions of and the elements of a man that he instituted into myself, just over a course of a shadow of a thought, I mean, it's 1,000 years, but it was a couple of days in God's eyes, right? And that's who he's back with, right? He's back with his Creator. So, you can't be sad about it. How you going to be mad if your father tell you to come home? If your father tell you to come home, you got to go home. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Love y'all.
Well, this is a terrible month for me, but my cousin said that you got something to say, so I kind of felt a little bad, because I lost my wife in October, and my sister-in-law, then my uncle. So it's just a terrible month for me, but I will say this. Uncle Clyde was a real man. He taught me and Robbie how to work on cars, brakes, cook. But one part I didn't understand, when we helped him cook, he wouldn't let us eat the good stuff. He only said, I got these hot dogs and hamburgers. I never could understand that. He said, you guys can't, he said, you boys, don't get none of that. Y'all get them hot dogs and hamburgers. Oh man, Robbie, like, we helped you cook. You mean we can't get none of the ribs or none of that ain't us for us grown folks. But I didn't understand that, but Uncle Clyde taught us a lot of stuff. The stuff that he didn't have no business doing, me and Robbie was sneaking in his garage, so everything went in that garage, but we got the brakes beat off of us going in that garage, but the garage is where everything was at. But he was a good man, he really was. After my mom passed away, his baby sister, he kind of let me come around and hang out with my cousins and help me and Robbie work on lawnmowers. As a matter of fact, he made it to where we can make us some money. So being at 12 and 10 years old, me and Robbie always had $200 or $300 in our pockets, easy from cutting grass. But he will be missed, so he's a great man.
I'm gonna go ahead and say something for Uncle Clyde. Uncle Clyde, when I first, when you're young, I used to think Uncle Clyde was so mean. I thought he was so mean. Now, this is for the women, like the girls. See, my brothers, they got to go over there because, Uncle Clyde only had sons. But we would go over there for Bernie. But as for my brothers, they were always around Robbie, and they always got to go over there. But I used to always think Uncle Clyde was so mean. And I think the reason why he was so mean because he was so strict. He was the strict one. Now, we had Uncle Jimmy was the fun uncle. you know, you have some that's fun, but Uncle Clyde to me was kind of real strict. And I'm just gonna say, sometimes when we go spend the night over there with Bernie, they had whatever's on your plate, you got to eat it. You can't throw nothing away, or you're gonna get in trouble. And this when they lived on Pyatt, I do not like hot links. I hate hot links. And so you know, Clyde said, you gotta eat everything on your plate. So I said, well, I guess I was gonna be sitting there because I do not like hot links. But Bernie took the hot link and threw it outside because you had to eat everything that was on your plate. But like I said, when you're young, your perspective of things is different. Because you know, when you're young, you like to have fun. So that's why I said we always thought that Uncle Jimmy was a fun uncle, and Desi was a fun aunt, you know, at the time, because my mother was more serious. But as you get older, you know, like sometimes when we would go over there, you know, Uncle Jimmy would be back there, Uncle Clyde said, you know, right when you come to Jimmy, he in the back. I said, well, we could be coming to see you, Uncle Clyde, because, you know, everybody would want to come see Uncle Jimmy. But as I got older and I would go and spend time with Uncle Clyde, you come to know who he is. You know, he was old school. You know, young people, you're going to have to be obedient. You're going to have to show respect. You just can't come in any kind of way. And he doesn't like for you to come in and just get a plate and leave, you know, because you need to come and speak to him because that's his house. But as I said, I spent more time, as I got older, I spent time with Uncle Clyde. You know, after we started losing all of our aunts and uncles, I just come to know who he was. You know, if we sit down and we talked about things, and one thing I'm just going to tell Uncle Clyde, okay, you know, and Uncle Clyde told me, he said when he was younger, he used to carry his Bible. He said he carried his Bible and he knew God. And, you know, he knew us, he would carry it. And we would sit there and talk, and I would say, okay, Uncle Clyde, you know, you got to forgive. You know, I would just tell Uncle Clyde, I got that relationship where I could just tell him some things about what needs to be done as far as when it came to God. You know, sometimes Clyde be up there just, you know, sitting there quiet, you know what I'm saying? And one time, Aunt Bernstein was there, and I was asking him about something. He don't look up. I said, what are you looking over Aunt Bernstein for? Like he's shamed or something. Say, it ain't no shame. We going to talk about God. But one thing I want to say, the reason, I don't know, a lot of people, you may know, and some of y'all, but my mother told me, like he was called Buddy. We couldn't call any of our uncles by their nicknames. We had to call Uncle Clyde, but they would call them Buddy. Uncle Cleo was Shug. We couldn't call him that. Aunt Desi was Faye, but we couldn't do that. But Mama said that when Uncle Clyde was born, Uncle Henry said this is his little buddy. So that's where he got the name Buddy from, because it is my little buddy. So they started all calling him Buddy. But, you know, as we just, you know, like I said, I've come to know Uncle Clyde, and I came to know him, like sometimes you give them their flowers while they're still here. So I'm glad I got to spend time with Uncle Clyde, and every time I would come, he said, you were the oldest grandchild. You was born on September the 16th. I heard that all the time. But like I said, Uncle Clyde he took care of our mother sometimes. She had 9 kids. And, you know, he might fuss a little bit when she come asking for some money, but he always helped her out. And like I said, I do appreciate Uncle Clyde for who he is and who he was. And, you know, just like you had said before that, you know, he went back to his creator. The Word of God says 1,000 years, it says a day, and a day is 1,000 years. I look at the people that left. It was Aunt Desi, she was gone. Then it was Uncle Henry, then Papa, then Uncle Cleo, then Mother, and then my mother, then Uncle Jimmy, and now Uncle Clyde. They're gone. You know, this is the last of the generation. But when I said a year is like 1,000, a day is like 1,000 years, and a year, 1,000 years like a day. Each day as they came, as they left, 1,000 years hasn't passed. But guess what? It's just like you go to work and you come back home. They all there together now. It was not even been like a long time. Some in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening. But they're there together.
what? We'll call for the moment of silence.
We will now have the reading of the obituary by Angela Williams.
I was going to say my remarks because I know I was going to be reading the obituary. I am the second oldest niece. I had an opportunity to spend a little time with Uncle Clyde during the past weeks, and he was real quiet. And the last time I seen him, I was like, we were playing some music for him, and then I'm a little hoarse, but I was like, Uncle Clyde, you want to sing some hymns? So I was just like, a little, blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchased by God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. For this is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. For this is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. He laid there and he just smiled, so I knew he was at peace. And loving memory of Clyde Rufus Williams Sr., October 5th, 1941 through October 19, 2024. I'm like, we were just up there 4 months ago, and Uncle Clyde said to me, Angela, you know, you should have stood up there a long time. I'm like, well, I was just reading the obituary. And I said, you know what, that's okay. I'm going to give him the same energy today. It says, celebrating the life of. For those of you that knew me, and also the ones who may have known me as well, let me tell you a story that you may or may have heard. It was. And it was one heck of a day for my father and mother. This day came and went with no fanfare, except for the people present in the house in the woods of DeBerry, Texas. My big brother Henry Williams was waiting for me to get here, and he turned out to be the big best brother in the entire world. So this would make the second of 5 children: Henry, Clyde, Shug, Brenda, Faye, and Jimmy, who were all waiting for me to cross over to the other side. My father moved to West Texas, where I learned to be the great man that I am today, from him and my favorite Uncle Richard. From everyone and everything around me as I grew up, and from this point, I never stopped learning and growing. Never perfect and always persistent, we moved to Wichita, Kansas. I attended middle school and East High School and worked at a local diner with my mother and brother Henry until I started working with my father at Globe Construction. And I worked there for 15 years, then retired from Boeing after more than 27 years. I met Bernstein King in 1968, and we were married in 1969. Me and Bernstein have 4 children: Hernia, Rob, Rodney, and Rydell. I can truly say I don't have a favorite child. I left all my children as well as Andre and nieces and nephews with a special place in my heart for India for providing a place for my peaceful homecoming and cannot thank her enough. In my last words to my son, Robbie, I told him, you are going to be all right. You all will miss me, but don't mourn me because I've been wanting to go for a long time. I have finished my race. I'm in the wings and I'm in the sun and I'm in the rain. And anytime you want to feel my presence, just observe the things around you. I love you all, and I haven't went anywhere. Clyde Rivers Williams Sr. P.S. Bernie, you were right. It's just the way I thought it would be. Clyde is preceded in death by his parents, Cleophas Sr. and Everly Williams, Brother Henry, Cleophas, and Jimmy Ray, Bernia, Yolanda Williams, Sister Brenda Timmons, and Desi Faye Williams. He leaves to cherish his memory, his son, Clyde R. Williams, Kyle Rodney Williams, Clayton Rydell Williams, as a well of hosts of grandchildren, one great-grandson, and many nieces, nephews, cousins, relatives, and friends. Life is but a stopping place, a pause on what it is to be, a resting place along the road to sweet eternity. We all have different journeys, different paths along the way. We all were meant to learn some things, but we were never meant to stay. Our destination is a place far greater than we know. For some, the journey's quicker, for some, the journey's slow. And when the journey finally ends, we'll claim a great reward, and we'll find an everlasting peace together with our Lord.
Amen. Now, y'all know this is a celebration, right?
You better know that.
And it is okay to cry. It's okay to shout, but it's also okay to cry and shout at the same time. So let's give God a hand clap of praise. Come on now. I know we're going to miss him. So, in listening to the memories of the children and those that he loved, I want to read the scripture real quick, and because y'all done already said everything. So I'm going to read the scripture real quick, coming out of Psalms 127. And it comes out of the New Living Translation. It says, children are a gift from the Lord. They are a reward from him. Children born to a young man are like arrows in a warrior's hand. How joyful is the man whose quiver is full of them. And I got to thinking for a moment, in hearing the memories from the sons and nieces and nephews. And I thought for a moment, everybody didn't grow up with a father in the house. And I'm not here to talk about me, but my father wasn't in the house. And when I look at his sons and stuff, and I thought for a moment, Uncle Clyde was a treasure. You know how you go to a jewelry store, you know, you might have a woman that you want to buy a diamond or something, you want to present that diamond to her. Uncle Clyde was a diamond. And one thing about a diamond or a treasure, you take care of it. Y'all hear what I'm saying? And I'm looking at this chalice right here. So you know there's different types of chalices. There's also a chalice that you can drink out of. Because I see the light when Robert lit the chalice. But there's also a chalice, and usually when you have a chalice, you fill the chalice up. And one thing about Clyde's legacy, one thing about his life, one thing that you want to do is that when you pass on, you want to live a full life. But you want to die empty. So, Uncle Clyde poured his chalice out. He lived a full life, and he died empty. One thing that Regina forgot to say was that he was the eldest of his brothers that lived the longest out of all of them. So the Lord blessed him with a fuller life. So my words of comfort to the family. remember, and the friends, because even though he had 3 sons, he had other men in the family. Even though they may not have been blood, he poured into them. So I want you to think for a moment that when you run a race of life, you don't have to finish in first place. All you got to do is just cross the tape. Uncle Clyde and he crossed the tape. Even though he didn't come first in the race, he still get a ribbon. He still get a well done, thy good and faithful servant. And Regina and India shared with me that when they were going to see him, and even when he was in India's house, India would say that Uncle Clyde would be looking in the corner. He was staring at something. And I asked Regina, I asked India, what was he saying? And she said that I see my brother Cleophas. I see my brother Jimmy. I see my sister Brenda. I see this. So yes, in the place he was going to be with the Lord, because he knew the Lord Jesus Christ, as the Lord said, he knew him. So there may be questions of people say, well, I don't know where he was going. I don't know where he went. Because see, this is his earth suit. See, because we came from God. See, before he was dispatched in this earth, his spirit man, the real him, was in the bosom of God. That's where we came from. I know we came from dust, but before we was dispatched, because see, none of us had a say-so who our mama or our daddy would be. None of us had a say-so even what era we was going to be born in. Uncle Clyde could have been born in 1600 if God chose to do so. So with that being said, his life was a treasure. His life was a diamond. So don't forget, this is to the men and women all in the family, don't forget what he taught you. The Bible says that a man leaves of inheritance to his children. And see, inheritance don't always mean money. Inheritance can also mean words of wisdom to pass on to your generation and to their generation and to their generation and to their generation. And I'm going to tell you, when I first met Clyde, I'm going to hold you long. When I met Clyde in the fall of '89, because I met Regina, I started dating Regina. And Regina said, we're going to invite you over for dinner. So, because my mother, everybody called mother. Y'all know who mother is, right? Because she wanted to cook a meal, because she wanted to see what Regina was working with. She wanted to see if he was a knucklehead or if I was about something. And Regina said, because mother could cook. And Regina started talking about what she said. She's going to make this big salad with meat in it, and she's going to make some hot butter rolls from scratch. And so when I went in the house, a lot of times when you meet people, when I went into the house, all the uncles was in the house. They was looking at me. Because Regina opened the door and said, and I came in, and they was all looking at me. And Uncle Clyde leaned over and looked at Regina and said, who's this? I said, I can't imitate his voice, but he was saying, Regina, who's this? And sometimes you could talk without saying nothing. Uncle Clyde was just looking at me. He would just measure me up to see if I was about something. Because every now and then, women, they get with knuckleheads. They ain't about nothing. And he looked at me, and then he looked at Regina, and he nodded his head, and he smiled like he was saying, that's the one. And so we've been married for 33 years. But it's not about me. But the fact is that every time I went to go see Uncle Clyde at 1544 North Minnesota, he always asked me, you hungry? Do you need something? And he was always cooking. And just like they said, he had the hamburgers, hot dogs, he had the ribs and everything, but I had these hot dogs too. But I remember that he always had words of wisdom. And one thing that he loved his kids. None of us don't always get it right. We mess up, but one thing I can say, he loved his his kids, and he did not have no favorites. He talked about y'all. We had conversations, and every time sometimes I just went over there by myself in my truck to see how he was doing. And a lot of times he had his homies, or he had his homies, his running buddies around. But he always had food. Like I said, he said, "Here's the hot dogs over here." That's what he said. I didn't get mad because I was still hungry. I still ate them. So with that being said, these are words of comfort to the family. The best way to honor your father is to tell his legacy to your kids and your children's children. God bless you. Okay.
If anybody has anything else to say, I definitely want them to say it. But if they don't, then we're gonna extinguish this chalice because you got something else to say? Go ahead.
Man, I got a little story about Grandpa. How we was in the backyard, me and some of the grandkids, and remember Joshua, the one I always had coming around
Down the street?
Yeah, me and Joshua was back there, and everybody was running around. But Grandpa, he very vigilant. He watching and stuff. So we get back there and we trying to smoke some weed and stuff, and he catches. What y'all doing back there smoking that marijuana? I'm like, oh snap, Grandpa! So I threw it. I'm like, wait, we ain't doing nothing. He's like, boy, I told you, get in there. You know what I'm saying? It just like that aspect and the urgency he had for me, like you doing wrong, you need to get it right, man. It just turned me into a person that I'm proud of today. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a big figure in my life, and he still is today. And with that being said, I just want to give thanks to Clyde Williams, man. Clyde Williams, man. That's my grandpa right there, man. And I don't know what else to say, but
Extinguish the chalice.
You said what?
Extinguish the chalice. Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, we'll have him extinguish the chalice. That was, nice moving little situation. And if anybody got anything else they did or didn't say or whatever, what we're gonna do is, we got the stones up here for joys and sorrows, whichever one, and the water that's in the situation represents the reflections that people have on people's lives, whether you know it or don't know it. And so then we're gonna eat some food, But in the meantime, I hope everybody, enjoy the situation. I'll try to keep it at an hour, but I guess we didn't do that right there. I thank everybody for coming, and I guess I don't have nothing else to say actually. And we're gonna He's in the wind, the sun, the rain. Like I said, anytime you want to think about him, just look around you. You can figure it out. Like he told me, he said, you're going to be all right. He said, you're going to be all right. He's patting me like I was like, he patted me. I'm crying like a motherfucker. He patted me, so I'll be all right. I'm like, so we all going to be all right. We all going to be all right. That's for sure, and I can believe that. And we got food. This window right here, we're going to serve the food through this window. Start at this tables out here. And then if we need to set up more tables, we will. But if we don't, that's how we're doing. I appreciate everybody. And we're going to open up the casket for the viewing. And anybody let's see, we got the joys and sorrows. Just put your stones in there. If you didn't talk, and it's the same as speaking. Sometimes silence is the best way to say anything. Oh yeah, and we got a slide presentation we're gonna do while this is going on. A slide presentation while this is going on. Yes. About to serve the food here in probably about 5 or 10 minutes. Open up these windows and then we're gonna serve the food outside these windows right here under the clock.
Good start.